Hey y'all, shut the F up. It's Fat Letitia season. Counting money and signing mortgages like a boss. From rags to bags, I got enough to divorce my dad. I got tips for your skinny ass. First, don't live where you rule. Queens rule over filth, but they don't live in the filth they rule over. Second, accuse those of which you are guilty of. You don't get to be a Fat Letitia rolling in the dough with your rolls of dough unless you sue Trump. You can't punch me below the belt. You can't even see my belt. Punch up Fat Queen. Fat Letitia season forever. I'm out.
It's my favorite questioning I've heard in Congress in a very long time. Like, how much reparations have you paid, lady? Like, hey, white lady, like, you hate white people so much. Like, how much reparations have you paid? We played it because, Brandon, there's this weird connection between her and Signal and between NPR running a fake news story about Pete Hegseth being fired yesterday. And, I mean, it just seems a little too suspicious for me, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, first of all. But, you know, the thing with Catherine Moore, head of NPR, which we tried to highlight in that hearing, is not just the bias at NPR and PBS, which we all know about, but the degree to which people like Catherine Moore hate conservatives and hate Christians. And I wouldn't put anything past her at this point after seeing all of her past comments about her hatred for us, that what she might be doing to undermine the Trump administration right now.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's really nefarious. The way that I look at this is, and I know you got a ton of military members in your district, everywhere in Texas, everywhere in Florida. There's people who are willing to serve their country. It's pretty rare. It's something that needs to be protected. Those people love Pete Hegseth. Like, the base loves Pete Hegseth. Our comment section loves Pete Hegseth. He's one of the people that are like he's truly effective in what he's doing. Is this why they're targeting him?
Yeah, you know, so many people have been sick of seeing our military focused on woke, perverted social experiments, as opposed to creating the most lethal military force on the globe. And that's what Pete Hegseth is doing right now. He's getting the woke, weird stuff out. He's getting the DEI stuff out. And he's focusing on having the strongest military, the most ready military, the most lethal military in the world. That's what most people want to see. That's what my constituents want to see. It's what the American people want. And I think that is what our men and women who are in uniform want to be. They don't want to go into the military and have woke stuff shoved down their throats. They want to go and they want to perform and they want to value excellence over some weird diversity quota that the left is trying to push. So now, whenever Hegseth is pushing all of this, I think that does put a target on his back because all of that is what the left has been pushing for so long. So, of course, they're going after him. You know, it's not surprising. Anytime you have an effective conservative in the administration, in Congress, anywhere else, you see the left push this full court press against him. And I think that's all this is. And unfortunately, it seems like some of this may be coming from within the Pentagon itself, which is even worse. And that's a whole nother problem that we've got to work on.
Trump term one was just rife with more leaks than the Iraqi Navy. And it was like nobody ever got prosecuted. Nothing ever happened to anybody. So it just didn't matter when the CIA listeners were leaking President Trump's conversations with Zelensky to get him impeached. Like, nobody had any fear. There needs to be some type of fear instituted in the system, and people who are leaking or criminally listening in and taking information to Congress behind the president's back, like, that stuff needs to be clamped down on, right? There are systems for whistleblowers, but when we're not following those systems and you're just trying to damage the administration, whether you're the head of NPR or whether you're inside of the Pentagon refusing to put up Trump's photo, there has to be some type of consequence, right?
There does. You know, this is only going to stop whenever we do see prosecutions. I think luckily we've got a DOJ who is not political anymore, not politicized, and I think will follow through with some of these prosecutions if they have the evidence and it deserves it. But you're exactly right. We've got a rogue bureaucracy, and it's not just the administrative state like the EPA and other agencies. It is in the military itself as well at times that oftentimes exists for itself. It's like a fourth branch of government, and they don't want to be overseen by Congress. They don't want to be overseen by the executive, even though that is our constitutional purview. They fight us against it. That's got to change. And the people in these agencies, whether it's in the military or whether it's in any other rogue executive bureaucratic agency, need to understand that elected officials, the people who are elected by the American people, are their bosses. We have civilian control of the military. That is a core part of our constitutional republic. President Trump is the commander in chief. He is the boss of the military. He's the number one guy. Congress has authority to oversee rogue agencies and to rein them in. They need to understand that power. And the only way they're going to do that, whenever they're stonewalling Congress or stonewalling the president or working against the president in this case, is if we see prosecutions.
Yes. I think that you could really, you're on the Judiciary Committee, and you're also on Government Reform Committee and Oversight. And so these would be really great positions of power to take on perhaps what's happening with Letitia James in New York, which seems very cut and dry. And we've had investigators on, we've had people from HUD and inside of the legal systems when it comes to getting these mortgages and manipulating the systems, saying, man, this is a slam dunk case. It'd be, we haven't heard anything else out of the DOJ, but the referral, but it'd be really great to like see one powerful person in handcuffs, Brandon. It'd be really nice, Brandon, Congressman, to see one powerful person get dragged in and say, no, there are consequences to your illegal actions, especially if they're the illegal actions that you try to put Trump in prison for.
Right. I mean, we should be holding Letitia James to the same standard that she held President Trump to. I think that case against the president was total nonsense, and she knew it as well. But if that's the standard that she set, then that's the standard we need to abide by. Turns out Letitia James did a lot of, or it appears that she did a lot of the things that she accused President Trump of doing, saying that she had a 4-bedroom unit instead of a 5-bedroom unit to get a better interest rate on her mortgage, saying that she lived in Virginia whenever she had to live in New York to be Attorney General of New York, saying that she was married to her dad whenever she wasn't. That's pretty weird. All to get a more favorable
Congressman, I hate to interrupt you, but it was officiated by Ilhan Omar. You know that marriage.
That's a problem as well.
It's cultural enrichment, you see. Yeah.
That's right. Cultural. That's what we need. That's what we need in this country apparently now. So, but all of the things that she said that President Trump was doing, it turns out she was doing. So she set the standard. I think she ought to be prosecuted just as aggressively as she prosecuted the president.
Good man. So this is a very perfect jumping off point to my next line of questioning, which are your Democrat colleagues running down to El Salvador to cha-cha dance and sip margaritas with Kilmar, the MS-13 member, wife beater, and gang member. There is a federal statute called the Logan Act. And people say, well, it's very old and, people normally don't get prosecuted under the Logan Act. Well, General Flynn was. He's a friend of the show. And so were other members of the Trump administration, term 1. And this act very simply says that private citizens will not engage in diplomacy with foreign governments without the authorization of the U.S. government, and aims to ensure that the U.S. government speaks with one voice in foreign affairs and prevents individuals from undermining its position. Sure as hell seems like Democrats are undermining the position of the Trump administration on deportations here. It certainly seems like there are going to be, there should be major ramifications for doing this, and that, they shouldn't just be allowed to go and side with MS-13 down in El Salvador, especially given the fact that this guy's not an American citizen. But here they are doing those kind of things. If I were to do that, I'd be put on a watch list, probably a no-fly list, right? So if I go to El Salvador and I meet with prisoners and I meet with gang members, I'm on the no-fly list. I get major questioning when I come back into America through Dallas, right? What's going to happen to these goofball members of Congress that you serve with?
I think the Logan Act is something we should take a look at here. We've got members of Congress, U.S. senators, who, as you said, are going down to El Salvador. And the goal there is to influence what is essentially American foreign policy, which is to influence the president's ability, his Article 2 plenary authority as commander-in-chief, to expel alien enemies of this nation, to repel an invasion, as we saw over the past 4 years. And this guy was a key part of that. This is an MS-13 gang member, 2 different courts, determined that he was a gang member. He has been suspected of human smuggling, from local police departments. And we know that these are the exact kind of people that the American people voted overwhelmingly to get out of our country. This is exactly what the American people voted for last November, to give the president the power to secure our borders and deport illegal aliens. And Democrats are fighting him every single step of the way. This should be common sense. We don't want MS-13 gangbangers in our neighborhoods. Everybody, Republican or Democrat, should be able to agree with that, except the Democrats on Capitol Hill. And that's a huge problem. And I do think we got to look at the Logan Act here, because this does appear to be members of Congress and the Senate trying to explicitly undermine the president's foreign policy in a foreign country.
Yeah, this case is now sent back to Texas, right? So they ruled that it has to be adjudicated in Texas. I don't believe that it's your district, but it certainly is your state. And so what's the take on this in Texas? I know when you walk the streets and you ask people who are in America if they want more criminal aliens here, they all say no, pretty much regardless of who they voted for. This seems like a 90-10 issue, especially when you include the wife-beating, human smuggling, and gang affiliation. And so I'm not sure I see the victory, the W here for Democrats. What do people on the ground in Texas say?
No, I don't see the W for Democrats. In fact, I think Republicans ought to be funding some of these trips. If Democrats want to go and take photo ops with members of foreign gangs, then they're welcome to do that. And we'll use that in the next election cycle, because they are showing us who they are. Remember, we talk about this a lot. Whenever somebody shows you who they are, whenever they tell you who they are, believe them. And this is the Democrats siding with Tren de Aragua, siding with MS-13 over and over and over again against the American people. I'm not sure this is a 90-10 issue. I think this is more like a 95-5 issue here. Everybody just about in my district here, other than the radical lunatics, want to get rid of gang members out of our country. They don't want foreign terrorists in their communities. The only people who support this are Democrat congressmen and Democrat senators. So I think that this is a clear case of the president conducting foreign policy, repelling an invasion. We've got to stand behind him. I've been fighting the courts recently. I filed articles of impeachment against radical Judge Boasberg, who demanded that the president turn a plane full of Tren de Aragua terrorists around midair and bring them back into the United States. I worked with America First Legal to file an amicus brief in that case as well. So we are pursuing this aggressively, but we have got to stand with the president here. He's doing exactly what the people told him to do, and he's being very successful.
Yeah. Texas was very successful, deporting their own immigrants and putting up their own border wall barriers, the longest contiguous border with Mexico there in Texas. It's got to be a big relief for your constituents that immigration has pretty much gone down to zero.
It's a huge relief. It's a huge relief. I mean, we really are on the front lines of the illegal immigration battle here. And remember, it's not just the drugs and the crime, the murderers and the rapists who are coming into our communities. It's also the flood of millions of illegal aliens who are straining our social services, who are filling our schools. And we wake up one day and realize our kids can't read because millions of illegal aliens have come into the country. It's our social services, our healthcare, all of these key parts that we expect from our federal government have been strained to the point of breaking over the past few years. And it's because of the illegal aliens that Joe Biden brought into the country. Every American can see it. Every Texan can see it. And this is why it is so important that we not only secure the border, which President Trump did in a matter of about a month, but deport all of the illegal aliens that Joe Biden brought into our country. We've got to take our country back. If one president can flood our country with illegal aliens with impunity, with no process, no vetting, no nothing, and a future president cannot deport them, then we don't have a country anymore. We've lost our sovereignty. We've lost it permanently. And the American people have no say in who is allowed into their communities and who is not. And that is wrong. And that's why we've got to put the pedal to the floor here and support the president.
Fantastic. Very quickly here, Congressman, James Comer of your committee just referred Andrew Cuomo to the DOJ, one of hopefully many referrals, but for lying to Congress. And this is, of course, a crime punishable by a prison sentence and pretty hefty fines. He lied to Congress, knowingly and willfully making false statements to Congress about the COVID-19 pandemic, which, of course, he was one of the authoring monsters of. What's going to happen here? Is Pam Bondi going to actually prosecute a powerful Democrat?
Well, it appears that we have the evidence here, so I sure hope so. This is another example of if you allow other elected officials or whomever to lie to Congress with impunity, you're obviously going to see more people lying to Congress. And a key power that Congress has is the power to investigate things like this, where Andrew Cuomo was putting putting COVID patients in nursing homes. He was, it appears to be, underreporting the number of COVID deaths. I mean, these are egregious things. And remember, at the time, he was a hero to the left. He was Andrew Cuomo and Anthony Fauci were the two gods of the left-wing movement for their response to COVID. And it looks like a large part of that on Cuomo's part was fraudulent. But we've got to go after this kind of stuff. The American people demand justice. We saw what our government did to us during COVID, and we want retribution at this point, and just retribution. We want the people who wronged us to see justice, and this is a good example of that.
Good. We'll take anything, and we'll take a powerful, corrupt, evil person in handcuffs. I don't care if they have to be like the teeny miniature handcuffs for Dr. Fauci, because you have to get really small. Or if they're, if they're greasy handcuffs for Andrew Cuomo, I don't care. Or if they're the oversized handcuffs for Letitia James, like big monster, kind of funny, that like look like a prop, right? That's fine. Either way, it doesn't matter to me. The size of the handcuffs, just send somebody. Punish someone is what we're for. We thank you very much, Congressman, for being on the program. It's always good fun. You are the youngest member of Congress right now, and you're also on a rocket ship. So we encourage everybody to go follow Brandon Gill right here. 150,000 Americans can't be wrong. Support the people who fight for us. God bless you.
Hey, Benny, thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.